Hi students, uh, we had seen yesterday the video regarding resources. Now you should know what is resource, what is a resource. Resource is something which satisfy a need of a human being, right? So we'll just go through it what we have learned yesterday. So it was, what is source? Source is the main thing from which we get a resource, and resource anything which satisfy a human need, that is a resource. Then we had seen characteristics, that is utility, value and economical value. Then we had seen about the what is utility, what is value, what is these things. Then we had seen the types. We have classified the resources: natural resource which we get from nature. Then we had seen human made resources, what we make, means humans make. And then human resources, any human which satisfies our need is called a human resource. Fine, we have gone through all this in our previous video. Then you know what is natural resources. Now here it was the end of the slide which we had seen in our previous video. Now natural resources can be defined based on, okay, where is it? Yeah, so natural resources can be based on I think sorry, I'll just take it back. Yeah, natural resources can be based on the origin, whether it's biotic or abiotic, from where it is originating. Then we can see stock, whether it's renewable, non-renewable. We can see distribution, whether it is ubiquitous or localized, or we can see on the basis of level of development. That means whether it's a potential resource or actual resource. Now we'll go into this in detail one by one. Right? Okay, Chiri. So we'll go ahead. So first, when we talk about the thing, level of development and use, like we can use coal. Coal is developed. We know how much coal is in a particular place. Like suppose if I go to a coal mine, I can understand that this much coal is there in this coal mine. We can use it for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, whatever it may be. So I know the actual thing, actual quantity, actual time. So that is an actual resource. You can see here, it's called actual resource. I know how much quantity is there and how much time I can use it. Potential means it's underlying. Like we can say that potential resource can be maybe we can say solar energy. We are getting daily, so we can use it. Maybe we are not using it fully, but in some extent we are using it. That is called potential resource. Are you getting it? Because actual resources, we know actually how much the resource is there, how much we can use it. We know all things. That is called actual resource. Potential is something which we can use in future. Maybe like wind energy. Like if you talk about Rajasthan is an arid region. There we get lot of hot air. Full air is there. We can use, air means wind is there. We can use that wind energy, but it's a potential. We are not using it right now. We are using it some extent, but we need some technological developments where we can use it. That is potential, that we can use it, but as of now we are not using it. Actually which we are using, we know that this amount of coal is there, this amount of iron ore is there, this amount of petroleum is there, so we can use it. That is actual. Potential, these things we can use in future if our technology develops. Like right now there are many people, many countries who are trying to develop a research in sense of solar energy, in sense of wind energy, all these things they are trying to do it. So when we talk about the level of development and use, so when we are using something, when something is developed, it is called actual resource. and when the things are supposed to get developed in the future, that are called as potential resource. Clear? I think it's very clear. Something which we are using currently, we know the stock, how much it is there, and how much years we can use it. That is actual thing in front of us. Something which we are planning to use in future is called as potential resource, like wind energy, solar energy, all these things. Clear? Chaliye. So we'll go into the next part of this. Actual resource, resource whose quantity is known and used in present, like example coal, petroleum, fossil fuels, natural gas. So all this iron ore, all these things we know how much stock is there with us and we are using it currently. That is called as actual resource. Potential resource, resource whose quantity is not known and used in the future. Like I told you, wind energy, solar energy, these things we don't know exactly what quantity we can use it, but it is somewhere that we can use it in future. Maybe tomorrow we can see solar cars, you can see cars running in battery, which is currently also we have some certain cars. So these things are certain things which we are trying to develop in future, that are called potential resources. Example, high speed winds. Yeah, I told you wind power, wind energy. High speed winds were a potential resource 200 years ago. Today they are actual resource, and wind farm generates energy using windmills like in Netherlands. Okay, now regarding Netherlands. Okay, I'll try to explain something like how that this wind energy and solar energy, they can be converted into electricity. So okay, we're not going to very deep. Yeah, all these things will come in your future, in your 9th class and 10th class. So just try to understand. Actual resources is, we know the stock, we are using it, that is actual resource. Potential, something which we are going to use in the future, that is potential resource. Okay, we go to the next point. Now origin. Now how does a resource origin? A resource can be like, what is the source of resource? Do you remember the first slide? We talked about source and resource. So how could a source, what is the source of that resource? Either it will be a living thing or non-living thing. Clear? If it is a living thing, then we call it as a biotic resource. If we get a resource from a living thing, the source is living thing, we call it a biotic resource. If the resource comes from a non-living thing, we call it a abiotic resource. Understood? Biotic, abiotic. Biotic is living thing, abiotic is non-living thing. So whenever we get a resource, if it comes from a living thing, it is a biotic resource, and if it comes from a non-living thing, it's called abiotic resource. Okay, so we'll just go ahead with this. Abiotic resources are non-living things. Example, rock, minerals, soil, air, water, land. They're all non-living things. So this all comes under abiotic. Clear? Biotics means the originating thing is living thing. Biotic resources are living. Example, plants, animals. So if I talk about fossil fuels like petrol, diesel, coal, they are from plants or fossil fuels. So they are living things. So if I get a resource from a living thing, it is called biotic. And if I get a resource like polymers, synthetic fibers, they all come from non-living things. Like if I say, for example, if I take silk, where do I get silk from? I get silk from silkworms. They are living things. So it's a biotic resource. Where do I get polyester? They are chemicals. They are made, human made. So it becomes abiotic. So whatever resource I get from living thing, it is biotic. Whatever resource I get from non-living thing, it's abiotic. Bio means life. Bio means life. Biotic, it has life. Abiotic, it doesn't have life. Hope it's very clear to you. And one more thing, yesterday I posted some videos, but I didn't get any doubts. You can always ask me doubts on WhatsApp. You can call me, you can put some questions in WhatsApp. I'm always ready for you. Fine, chali. So we'll go to the next point. So I hope you are clearly understood. Biotic means living things, abiotic means non-living things. Next. Now, natural resources. Either they will be renewable or they will be non-renewable. Now for this I would just try to check my pen. Yeah. Now this is something confusing to many students I have seen in my classes of 8th standard. They always get confused between renewable and non-renewable. Now if I say about re means you can repeat it. Again you can do it. New. Able. So re, you can do it again, it can be repeated. New, so it can repeat itself newly. Able, so any resource which have the ability to renew itself is called as renewable resource. Like air, today I use too much of air, again tomorrow I'll get the same amount of air. If I use sunlight today, tomorrow I'll get the same amount of sunlight. If I use water today of a river, tomorrow I'll get the same water. So these are all things are renewable because they can renew themselves. They can renew them. The resource can renew itself. That is called renewable. Non-renewable is those resources which cannot renew themselves are called as non-renewable. Now, if I ask, sorry, if I ask about coal, there is a coal mine. If I take out the coal, after some time, after some years, that coal will be depleted. It will complete, it will exhaust. There will be no coal remaining there. So it is non-renewable because coal, formation of coal takes millions of years. So it's a non-renewable resource. So according to, if you talk about natural resources, it can be, or we can say stock. Actually, we can easily write stock. Sorry. If I talk about stock, the stock which can get depleted is called as non-renewable resource because we are using it very high speed and developing of that stock is taking much of time. It is non-renewable like coal, iron ore, fossil fuels, natural gas. All these are examples of non-renewable. But renewable is something which can renew itself, like air, solar energy. Air means wind energy, solar energy. These are all renewable things. Today if I use sunlight, tomorrow also I will get the same amount of sunlight, right? So these are renewable and non-renewable. Okay, we'll go forward with this, the other classification. Now renewable resources which can be renewed or replenished quickly, like air. Today I feel wind. If I use wind today, tomorrow also I will get the same amount of wind. If I use sunlight today, I will get the same amount of sunlight tomorrow also. So these are renewable. They will never exhaust. Example, solar, wind energy and energy. Okay, fine, sorry. Water seems to be unlimited renewable resource. Okay, now coming to water. Water is a renewable resource, but drinking water is a non-renewable resource, because what happens is water is plentifully available around us. Rains are falling, rivers are there, oceans are there, seas are there, but drinkable water is very less. So we can say potable or drinkable water is a non-renewable resource, but water is a renewable resource. Understood? Chali. Then we'll come to non-renewable resource which cannot be renewed or replenished quickly, like coal. Coal takes almost millions of years to develop, but we are using it in very fast way. So it's a non-renewable resource. because we are taking tons of coal in one day, but to produce tons of coals it takes almost thousands of years. So it's a non-renewable resource. Resources which cannot be renewed or replenished quickly are called non-renewable resources. Once the stock is exhausted, it takes thousands years to be renewed. Suppose if my coal mine today, if I am sitting here, I have a coal mine, if it gets exhausted, it will take other thousands of years to develop the coal again. So it gets exhausted. Example, petroleum, coal, etc. I hope it's very clear what is renewable and what is non-renewable. Come to the next thing. Okay, these are the examples of renewable resources: solar energy, water, wind, phosphate, oil, limestone. Okay, sorry. Renewable resources are solar energy, water, wind. Non-renewable, phosphate, oil, limestone. Because we take it out, it take other 1,000 years to develop. So they are called non-renewable resources. Now come to the next point. Distribution. Now I'll ask you a question. Suppose when you talk about wind or solar energy, so wind in Maharashtra is same as the wind in Andhra Pradesh or Telangana. Similarly, solar energy, sunlight, is same in Maharashtra as compared to Telangana or Andhra Pradesh. So it's all same. Like you are in Karnataka, so the sunlight which is falling in Maharashtra, the same sunlight is falling in Karnataka also. So it is what? It is called as, where is my pen? Yeah, it is called as ubiquitous. So any resource which is equally distributed all over the world. Like in India, we are getting sunlight. The same sunlight is received in United States of America or Australia or Nepal or Pakistan or any other country, maybe European countries, Arabian countries, everywhere they are getting sunlight. So it is equally distributed, that are called as ubiquitous. But when you talk about coal, we don't have coal mines in Maharashtra. There are certain pockets like in Chandrapur and all. I don't know whether there are certain coal mines in Andhra or Telangana. So these pockets or these places where we can find coal or iron ore or manganese or mica or something, they are in certain places. They are called localized because they are localized in certain places. Are you getting the point? Certain resources which are available equally at all places, like wind, or you can say sunlight. Sunlight is equally here in India as well as United States of America or Antarctica or maybe less than Antarctica, but Australia, Europe, everywhere it is same. You can find it freely everywhere. They are called as ubiquitous. But some resources which are localized, which are in certain pockets. In India, if I want to find iron ore, I have to go generally to Madhya Pradesh and Jharkhand or Chhattisgarh. There we have a lot of iron ore places. If I want to find coal, I have to go to Jharkhand only. I can find in Jamshedpur, I can find in Bokaro, Jharia, all these places. So they are localized. So this is the distribution of resources. If the resource is distributed evenly in all places, it is called ubiquitous, and if it is in certain places, it is called localized. So we'll just see the definitions now. Ubiquitous resources which are found everywhere. Example, air. Air is everywhere, water is everywhere, land is everywhere, sunlight is everywhere. So solar energy, wind energy, land energy, all these resources which are present everywhere are called as ubiquitous. Localized resources that are found in certain places. Example, copper and iron ore. We have other examples like petroleum, natural gas, bauxite. Bauxite is a raw material of aluminium. So these things are called as localized, where you find, I cannot dig a hole in front of my house and take coal out of it, but I can go out and I can take sunlight. So sunlight is there for me, air is there for me, that is ubiquitous. But localized is, I have to go to some special place where I can find this. They are called localized. Fine, we'll go with the next. notes the distribution of natural resources depends upon number of physical factors like terrain, climate and altitude. Okay, fine. Okay, now so right now I think we have discussed all the four topics about how the natural resources can be classified on the basis of stock, on the basis of origin, abiotic, biotic, on the basis of stock, renewable, non-renewable, on the basis of distribution, ubiquitous and localized, on the basis of other factors. So we have seen this into details. Hope you have understood. If you have any doubt, you have my number in my WhatsApp. You can always, anytime you can put a message, or maybe I'll take a class online every week, so you can ask me doubts about this chapter. Thank you. Have a nice day.